Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and welcome back to the middle of the order. Another TOP. We're in our final five here, and today we are talking about your 2023 World Series winners, the Texas Rangers. What a year, what a season they had across all odds, all the doubt they had at points of the season where things weren't going their way and things started flying off the rails. They maintained composure. They maintained a solid roster despite the injuries, despite everything up. Some key players and key moments, and a tough, battle throughout the playoffs. Last year, your Texas Rangers finished 90 and 72. That was third in runs for, 18th in ERA, and 13th in runs against. They had the same record as Houston, but due to tiebreakers, they finished second in the AL West, fourth in the AL overall, and seventh in MLB. Our World Series winners made playoffs, of course. They were seeded as the 5 seed. And they started by sweeping Tampa on the road 2-0 to move into the ALDS, where they beat the AL East Division winners, the Baltimore Orioles, in a sweep as well, 3-0 there. Before they then had a tough ALCS versus the Astros, but they get the better of them in Game 7. They win that 4-3, and then take on Arizona Diamondbacks in their fairy tale run. And they finished them off in 5 games, 4-1, and win their first World Series in their franchise's history. That was the story of last year. They traded for Scherzer at the deadline. They, key players and key moments, despite some injuries. And it was big for Texas, and part of the reason they made it all the way to the end. But let's take a look at their outlook for 2024, and it starts with the signings that they made. Tyler Mahle, Kirby Yates, they re-signed Travis Jankowski, Andrew Knizner, Jose Barrio, David Robertson, and then a couple of fun non-roster invitee guys, Jared Walsh, Shane Green, and Diego Castillo. Who they lost. As of this moment and as of recording, Jordan Montgomery is a loss. However, he is still unsigned, so they can easily bring him back. But, as for the recording, no Jordan Montgomery yet. They also lost a couple other key players. Mitch Garver's out, Martin Perez, Chris Stratton, Will Smith, Austin Hedges, Robbie Grossman, Aroldis Chapman, and Brad Miller, all no longer part of the Texas Rangers roster. So let's take a look at this rotation entering 2024, and it's better than the one I'm going to read out to you right now. Starting things off, the ace of the staff, Nathan Eovaldi, star. What a season he had last year. At the number 2, it's John Gray. Andrew Heaney, the Heen Dog, is at 3. Dane Dunning is your 4 guy there. Cody Bradford rounds off that rotation. There's your top 5. The bullpen's got some interesting parts here. Of course, they brought on David Robertson and Kirby Yates. They have Jose Leclerc as the closer right now listed by Fangraphs. I don't think that will last. I think David Robertson will take over at some point, or maybe someone else. But Leclerc, for me, isn't really closer material. Sorry, not sorry. Josh Sborz, Brock Burke, some other guys as well down there in the Texas bullpen, which was part of the problem with Texas last year. That bullpen was super untrustworthy, especially towards the end of the regular season. They did kind of find their footing, entering playoffs and everything, but there was a big point, a big talk of town where, Texas bullpen was going to blow all of this for the Texas Rangers, because everything else was swinging on all accounts. The starting pitching was great. And of course, the lineup was even better. Marcus Semien leads things off at second base. Evan Carter, what a story for this kid, coming up at the end of the year and kind of just securing Texas, a postseason berth. He's the left fielder batting second. Then we have Wyatt Langford listed right now as the DH batting third, non-roster invitee, drafted first round, fourth overall in 2023, and he's already expected to be up this year, according to Fangraphs opening day. I'm not so sure about that one, but maybe. Get a little compensation pick perhaps. Adolis Garcia, the right fielder, he bats fourth. Jonah Heim, catcher, batting fifth. Josh Young bats sixth at third base. Seventh, center fielder, Leody Taveras. Eighth, first baseman, Justin Foscue. I want to say that's how it's pronounced. I'll be honest, that last name is very unfamiliar to me. I don't know if it's Foscue or Fosque. Yeah, I have no idea how to pronounce that one. I'm going to have to wait until I watch this guy play a game or two. And then rounding it off, the shortstop, batting ninth, Ezekiel Duran. Of course, this is listed by Fangraphs. The bench, Andrew Kisner, backup catcher essentially, Jose Barrio, Josh Smith, and Travis Jankowski. And I know what some of you are thinking. Whoa, Ezekiel Duran, shortstop. Don't think so. Right now it is, because Corey Seager is part of a huge list of Texas Rangers injured right now. Of course, Corey Seager, end of January, had a sports hernia surgery, so he's projected to start the year on the IL. And he's not the only guy, because some of those starting pitchers, like I said, the starting pitcher list I read out, not what the potential there is to be, because they have two stars. Max Scherzer, he had a back surgery during December. He's going to be out until at least June. Tyler Mahle, one of the guys they signed free agency, he had Tommy John surgery. He's questionable for 2024. And of course, Jacob deGrom, who had Tommy John surgery in June, he is questionable for 2024. Healthy deGrom would make or break a lot of things, but obviously having Mahle and Scherzer there as well would help out in a big way. And they're not the only ones, because also Nathaniel Lau has a strained oblique. He is projected to be on the IL as well to start the season. Josh Young had a strained calf, but he is looking good and should be still projected to be on the opening day roster. So a couple of interesting things here, and obviously with those injuries, that's why you have so many interesting names in the lineup. Why Wyatt Langford could be day one starting things off as a DH, power bat, one of the young kids. I mean, we talked about it. Texas has a lot of major league talent, but not only that, they have a lot of fun, prospects and young guys. Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter kind of lead the way. Justin Foscue, I'm going to be calling it Foscue for this episode, at least until I learn the name. He's part of the top 100. Jack Leiter, maybe he comes up at some point. So they definitely have names, new and old, young and everything you want to know there. They've got guys in that farm system who, could make big impacts this year. Depending on when Texas needs it, they've got a little bit of depth there. The free agents at the end of this year got some interesting names. Max Scherzer, of course, being a big one, a key one. So could this be a potential last season? I mean, it's the same kind of thing as Verlander, as I mentioned in the Astros TOP earlier today. Check that one out if you missed it. Andrew Heaney, Jose Leclerc, Kirby Yates, Travis Jankowski. David Robertson has a mutual option for $7 million, so that might happen there. And then Nathan Eovaldi has a vesting option. I did a little bit of searching for this one. This one's a little bit harder to find. I believe the vesting option is 300 innings pitched across 2023 and 2024. Last year, I think he pitched 140-something innings. Let me double-check quickly. Yes, 144 innings. So he would need 156 innings this year to guarantee the $20 million, I believe, is how that's supposed to work for 2025. But a couple of just names to note there. Obviously, Scherzer and Heaney, part of the starting pitching rotation. There's some interesting names to be, at the end of the season, free agents. So, your Texas Rangers, what needs to go right? What needs to be happening? Obviously, we got to talk about some of their star players. Marcus Semien came over in 2022 after a kind of career year with the Blue Jays on a one-year deal. Putting up 45 home runs and being the superstar second baseman that he was. And let's be honest, he has been everything in the last 3 years, really, for a good amount of time. In the last 3 years, he's missed one game. He's led the league in plate appearances, games, at-bats. Last year, led the league in runs and hits, 185 hits across those 162 games, had 29 home runs, 100 RBIs, a 276 batting average, and 826 OPS. That was good for his second Silver Slugger, his second All-Star appearance, and his third time finishing third in MVP voting. Simeon's tired of that, I'm sure. But he is a great second baseman since he's made that transition from shortstop to second, going from Oakland to Toronto, now at Texas. And he's a key piece. Obviously, when he first got things started in 2021, it was a little 2022 with Texas. He had a cold start to his Texas career, but he's turned it on ever since, and he hasn't looked back. He has been great, and one of the game's best second basemen, great leadoff hitter, not only for contact, but he's got a little bit of pop there as well. So definitely a key part in the Texas Rangers going forward. Corey Seager, the hero, the two-time World Series champion now, one with the Dodgers, one with the Rangers, both two-time World Series MVP, three-time Silver Slugger, four-time All-Star. He's been great since joining Texas, was an All-Star both his years in 2022 and 2023. He was MVP number 2. So, Simeon and Seager, MVP final voting 2 and 3. And obviously, Seager would have won the MVP had it not been from a certain player named Shohei Ohtani. It was also a Silver Slugger year for him as well. He's going to be 30 this year. Dealt with some injuries last year, and that's probably why his numbers, couldn't have been worse. I mean, who knows the ceiling he could have had he played the full season. 119 games, led the league in doubles with 42, 156 hits, a 327 batting average, a 1.013 OPS. Just a great player, a great year for Seager. When he was healthy, he was amazing, and if he was healthy the full season, he could have made a run at Ohtani for that MVP. Of course, in the end, wasn't a World Series champion, was a World Series MVP, so I'm pretty sure Seager is still happy with his season last year as well. Another one of their guys coming face that franchise there, and a very likable guy if you're a Texas fan, Adolis Garcia. What a year for him. 148 games, his second All-Star appearance, a Gold Glove for him, finished 14th in MVP voting, 39 home runs, one away from 40, a 245 batting average, and 836 OPS. Power bat, strong arm on the defensive side. He'll get on base. He'll do his thing. He's a great player that Texas is sure and happy to have. A little flaky, sometimes hot, sometimes cold. I think consistency needs to be something that needs to improve. When he's hot, he is certainly one of the best players in baseball, but when he is cold, he is striking out a lot. But the thing that I will say, and I always will put this out there, every year since 2021, his strikeout numbers continue to decrease. That's a big thing for me. 194 strikeouts in 2021, 183 in 2022, 175 in 2023. So yeah, it's not any crazy numbers, 11 less strikeouts, 8 less strikeouts, but still lowering the strikeouts, playing kind of the same rough number of games. And the homer number improves, the RBI numbers improve. So just overall, a great year from Adolis Garcia. Texas was struggling a lot at certain points in 2023, especially kind of after the deadline. They got to a point where they were just losing and losing. Had a couple of big blowouts to them against the Astros, which was, a big key thing. They lost 13-6. They lost 14-1 to kind of start September off. Then they had a huge series against Toronto, swept them, and kind of turned their season around. And they had that crazy end of the season playing Seattle, kind of for that last spot essentially. And if things didn't go Texas' way, who knows? Who would have won the World Series? Would it have been the Mariners then? Like, the Mariners were right on their tail. Like, there was a battle towards the end of that season. And part of the reason that the Rangers obviously, were in that position was because of the bullpen and some of their players not producing. But they called up a kid. And this kid was everything for Texas. In the small sample size he had, playing in September, possibly saved the Rangers season and helped them essentially win their first World Series. Evan Carter, prized guy right now and possibly a favorite to win the Rookie of the Year in 2024. 20-year-old played 23 games and he was great. 5 home runs, 19 hits in those 23 games, a 306 batting average, a 1.058 OPS. Yes, a short sample size, but he had definitely been it was definitely a huge part in the Texas Rangers. And also not only that, but in the postseason as well. These are only regular season numbers. His postseason numbers were great. He was getting on base. He was hitting doubles into the gap, driving runs in. Who knows where Texas would have been without Evan Carter towards the end of the season here. And could be possibly the favorite for that Rookie of the Year. So Evan Carter, definitely a player to watch. And speaking of Rookie of the Years, last year was Gunnar Henderson, and it 100% could have been Josh Young. What a season for this kid. It is rookie season. 122 games, missed about 40 a month and a little bit due to an injury, which is why I say could have been, because obviously missing that time definitely, didn't favor the rookie. 122 games, 127 hits, 23 home runs, 70 RBIs, a 266 batting average, a 781 OPS. He was an all-star. Of course, that first half of the season was great for Texas and finished 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting. So definitely that injury, bugged him off a little bit, but he's still already in his first year a World Series champion, which, can be said. He can already say that over other guys who've been in the league for much longer. So Josh Young, definitely, for sophomore season, things are looking up for the third baseman as he, makes a name for himself there with Texas. And this year could be Wyatt Langford. Who knows what the future will hold, or even Evan Carter, like I said. So Texas has some options for Rookies of the Year this year. And Josh Young, entering his sophomore season, can continue to break out and be a key piece in this Texas Rangers lineup. But yes, of course, we know Texas is going to have a great lineup. They're going to have a great team. It's the pitching, and obviously to mention Jacob deGrom, one of my favorites, if not my favorite player, one of my pitchers at least. 2018, 2019, Cy Young winning with the Mets. Last year, signed a huge deal with Texas and only got to play 6 games before falling down to Tommy John. In those 6 games, he had a 2-0 record, a 2.67 ERA, 30 innings pitched, and 45 strikeouts. He is great when healthy. The strikeouts are high. The ERA is low. He eats innings. He gets through games. He is a great pitcher, and I would hopefully love to see him in 2024, but who knows what his injury is going to be like. Who knows if he'll be the same pitcher ever again. But of course, they do have a pitcher, kind of the star pitcher now with, Scherzer hurt, DeGrom hurt. It's Nathan Eovaldi, 2-time All-Star, 2-time World Series MVP. He won it with Boston in 2018. And of course, last year with Texas, he was an All-Star. The second time he was an All-Star in his career. Put up great numbers, a 3.63 ERA, 25 starts made, a 12-5 record, 144 innings, and 132 strikeouts. Obviously, injuries have been a thing in the past for Eovaldi, and that's why the Rangers, had that vesting option for innings pitched. That's why they have special deals in his contract for extra money, depending on how many innings pitched that he can get to milestones in that way. So, Eovaldi's going to be one of those guys to watch where, can he stay healthy? Last year did make 25 starts, but did miss 6 or 7, a good month of the season with an injury as well. And that was when kind of Texas' season was falling off the rails in August there. So who knows what Eovaldi's going to do as the, leading pitcher of that staff, that ace staff. We talked about it. John Gray and Heaney as the 2 and 3, how strong can that be? Obviously, you would love to have Jordan Montgomery come back, and by the time you're hearing this, maybe he is. There wasn't, too many destinations for him that made sense besides re-signing. Cody Bradford, he's a kind of a young kid, 26 years old right now, listed as the 5. Obviously, when either Scherzer or DeGrom or Molly, if any of those guys come back, he would get pushed, back maybe to AAA. They do have some options, perhaps in AAA, Jack Leiter being one of those guys, maybe even Jose Urena. So options for sure for Texas. But it's going to be that lineup that's going to possibly carry them. So we'll definitely have to take notice of that. The Rangers come in with the over-under of 88.5. And yes, there's some injuries to note. And, maybe these guys don't have the season they did last year because a lot of them were really good. They had a lot of all-stars and just a lot of great players for them. Obviously some have left. But still, 88.5. I said it in the Houston episode. I think I said it in the Mariners episode too. It's going to be essentially like the AL East, but instead of a four-way dogfight, it's a three-way dogfight. I think the Astros can easily win the division. I think if all things click, Texas can easily win the division. Seattle, if some things go awry for these two, Texas-based teams, Seattle's division is to lose then. So it can fall either way. I think I'm going to take the over, or no, I think I'm going to take the over. I think it's clear that Texas is going to have a strong year again. And the same can be said for any team. That's the beautiful thing about baseball is that if everyone's playing 100%, that team's going to win a World Series, whether it be Oakland, whether it be the Dodgers. And injuries get to a team, and that can cause them from winning a World Series and having a playoff run to missing the playoffs by 10 games. If Corey Seager, Corey Seager's going to start the season on the IL, essentially. When he comes back, if he stays healthy for the rest of the season, Texas is going to make a postseason run. They're going to win 90 games, and all things are going to be right with Texas. So, obviously, that's a key thing to note. Obviously, these aren't 100% accurate. My picks and my takes, 88.5. Give me the over on your Texas Rangers to be competing again for a possible second World Series title in their franchise's history. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you everybody so much for listening to this episode. That wraps up today. We got 2 more tomorrow on Thursday and then 2 more Friday. We've done 14 AL teams. Only 1 remain. Do you know who that is? Which means the top 3 teams for me, or possibly top 3 or 4, are all NL teams. And if you've been paying attention, you know which 3 they are. And even if you haven't been paying attention, just based off of baseball knowledge, you know who's at the top on Friday's episodes. But yeah, thank you everybody so much, and I will see you tomorrow.